Today's topic is, about the POM process workshop or whatever. Uh, can you please, explain each and every requirement and step that are involved in the labor or POM process?
Uh, so to start off with, for the labor certification, most occupations require a labor certification to be filed. If you want to get a green card based on employment, there are some exceptions, of course, to this labor certification process. But I guess we can get into that later. Just to start off, if your occupation or the job requires a labor certification, then the first step is to identify the job duties, identify the job requirements, and file a prevailing wage with the Department of Labor. The prevailing wage, in the prevailing wage form, you are putting in all the requirements, and then the DOL will approve it. Right now, it's taking about 2-3 months for approval of prevailing wages. They will send you what they think the wage level should be. So based on that, you have to put in that wage level in your advertising, and you can start. Then the next step would be to start the advertising process. The advertising process can be started simultaneously. Most of the steps can be started along with filing of the prevailing wage, because most advertisements don't require you to mention the wage. All that's required in an advertisement is, a brief job description, so that the person who's reading it can figure out, what the job is. And of course, your address, and if there are any travel requirements or any remote work requirements, then those have to be mentioned. And of course, your city and state, job title. I always mention the educational qualifications required for the job and the number of years of experience. So those are what we mention usually in an ad. We don't usually put the wage. The wage has to be mentioned in only one of the advertisements, which is a notice of job opportunity, and that has to be posted internally. Anyway, that has to be posted on your website, or actually on your work premises, so on the wall in your office. So that can be done later, and it has to be done for 10 days, and then you have to wait for 30 days after that for resumes. But the rest of the ads, so to break it up, we have several ads that have to be placed. It's a total of 5 ads. So you have to place 2 consecutive Sunday newspaper ads. You have to place an online ad. Then you can also do employer website. You can do a referral program, which means that your employer has a referral program whereby they give certain incentives to their employees if they refer someone. So those are some of the ads that have to be placed. Altogether, it's 5. You have a choice, of course, and they put it out in the PERB regulation as to what are the different ads that can be done, and out of that, you have to choose 5. Sorry. So the compulsory ads are the newspaper and the Department of Labor website, the NOJ, that is a notice of job opportunity that we were talking about. Those are the compulsory ads. The other 3 ads are, you can choose between various different ads: referral program, employer website, online ads, publications, actual print publications. It could be television ads, radio ads. So depending on the type of job and what is appropriate, you can choose what you want to do. So once the ads have been placed, you've identified the job and the requirements, you've sent out the prevailing wage, you've done the ads that you can do which don't require the wage to be mentioned in them. Then once the prevailing wage gets approved, you can go ahead and do your NOJ, and then there's a waiting period. Remember, for every ad there's a waiting period of 30 days after the last ad is placed. So we're talking about at least 60 days to 90 days time that will be required for this recruitment process. So once you place the ads, if you get any resumes, you're supposed to look at the resumes. And if you find any qualified resume applicants, then you're supposed to interview them, and you have to record everything. So if you're not interviewing them, then you have to write a recruitment report saying why you didn't interview them, why you think they're not qualified. If they're even halfway qualified, then it's better to interview them and then record what happened at the interview and why they were rejected, what they didn't have that is required as per your advertisement. So you can't put in requirements that you cannot reject people based on requirements that are not there in your perm. So you can't say that you needed C, C++ when that's not mentioned as a skill in your advertisements. Actually, not in your advertisements, but in your perm, when you file the perm. Remember, the advertisements can be very brief, so you don't even have to mention the skill sets in the advertisement. You can just say various skills required. But when you're actually filling out the perm, which is the next step now, you have not received resumes, or you've received resumes that you have been able to reject because they don't qualify. And you also have to show that if you've rejected them based on certain skills, that it was not possible to train them. Sometimes the Labor Department will say that, why were you not, you could have trained them if it was a something simple that they can be trained in. So you have to show that it's not simple, that C, C++ is complicated, and you don't have the means or the know-how to train them, and it takes time as well as money to have to train them after they join you. So the reasons for rejection have to be reasonable. You can't reject it based on something that is unreasonable. Also, it has to be within the, as I was saying, what is required in the perm. So now you're filling out your perm form. If you have rejected them based on C, C++, then make sure you put that in the perm application as a special requirement. Put in your job duties, your job requirement. If you've rejected somebody based on a bachelor's, and if you don't put in the requirement of a bachelor's degree in your perm application, when you're filling it out, then obviously it's, your case is going to be rejected. So you're filling out the perm. If you don't fill out certain information in the perm, then also you could get a rejection. For example, if, as I was saying, in the job duties, if of course in the advertisement you have to mention certain things, as I said, with reference to travel, relocation. Also, if they're roving employees, if you're in an IT kind of environment where your employee works in different client sites, you have to mention that. You have to mention the language of a roving employee. So certain things have to be mentioned, and if they are not, then it could be rejected in an audit. It could also be rejected in the I-140 stage if they don't audit your labor certs. So you have to be careful with how what you put in the perm. So once the perm is filed online, and once you file it, two things can happen. You could either get an audit, and if you get an audit and if you don't respond to their satisfaction, then they could ask you to do the recruitment again, and it could be supervised this time. So supervised by DOL. All the resumes will go to DOL, it's much more difficult, obviously. So that's called supervised recruitment. So that could happen. But if they're satisfied, then there could be an approval, or you could get an automatic approval without an audit as well. But nowadays, a lot of labor certs are being audited simply because of COVID and the DOL's perception of how the labor market is. They are clamping down on audits and issuing more audits. So once it is approved, then of course you go ahead and file the I-140. The labor is valid only for 180 days, and it will be written on the certification as to what the validity period is. And before the validity is over, you have to make sure that you actually file the I-140, right? If it's denied, then you can go to BALCA, which means you can appeal the case. People mostly prefer to simply refile unless there is a priority date issue or some such issue which they cannot get back. Okay, it's just easier to refile rather than going to BALCA or rather than appealing, because a BALCA can take up to 2-3 years or more to be resolved, and at the end of it you don't know whether it'll be approved or it might be denied again, and then you're wasting a lot of time. So unless you have some compelling reasons to appeal, most people will fix the problem if they can, and then they will refile. So that is in a nutshell how the labor cert process works.